You know, one of the other things in this same context, we all know, and you've talked about it, that the pipeline to the Kaw has had some problems the last 4 or 5 years. Talk a little bit about, tell the people watching of the tentative plan that we will shut down the Kaw about a year from today, give or take a little bit, and talk about that and maybe a little bit what we face with that pipeline, because sooner or later in the next year or two, I think the citizens are going to have to address this issue, right. And it's not inexpensive.
No, we're going to have to pay for it, all of us. I mean, you and I with all our water bills and all the rest of us. But that line, it was built around 1980, so it's approaching 30 years old.
Right.
And nothing wrong with the line. It was installed. It's a steel. It's made of steel. But we all know steel is going to corrode and rust. You cannot stop that. The inside of it will corrode, the outside will rust, and eventually thin spots in that line, because of water pressure, will begin to leak. And so that can be a real serious problem if that ever gets serious enough to break to where we have to shut the water off.
And we've actually had a number of leaks, a number of
breaks. And fortunately, they've been small enough, and we've caught them, that we didn't have to turn any water off. You can simply repair it from the outside. We've been fortunate. But if it ever breaks large sufficiently to shut the water off, that's, to the average person, shutting the water off in the line sounds like a simple task. But when you have a line that's 36 inches in diameter, and it's 36 miles from long, and there's no valves in the line, it's just one continuous pipe from Kaw Reservoir, 36 miles to Stillwater. And it would take several days when you once shut it off to let the water drain out of the line. And during that time, we're continuing to use 8 million gallons of water every day here in the city. And we got about 8 or 9 million gallons on hand stored. So you run out of water pretty quickly. But our plan is, when OSU gets online, in the low use time of the year, in late winter and early spring, we can maybe use OSU's water for maybe 90 days at a time, close the Kaw line, cut it, and make inspections and repairs to a section of it each year until we have an opportunity. We've repaired and inspected and refurbished the entire line. It'll also allow us to build in stages a parallel line, so we'll have 2 lines to Kaw Lake one day.
Right.
And I think that will give us, a 100-year life to water. But right now it's still vulnerable.
And certainly by being able to get into the pipeline, being able to repair in stages as you described, the idea is as much as possible to avoid the cost of an entire one-time replacement of that line. And I believe the Beck report tells us that in today's dollars is around $80 to $90 million if you just start from scratch.
Yes. If we were to have to build a Kaw line brand new today, it would be $80 to $90 million.
And that's just a staggering amount of money for our community.
It is. It's a tremendous amount. It's a huge amount. But I think when we can do this in stages, and with some low interest loans from the state, and we'll have to make some adjustments to water bills over time, because right now we enjoy, whether we know it or not, I mean, we get our water bills and oh my, it's a high water bill, but we enjoy some of the cheapest water in the state. At $2.30 or $2.40 for 1,000 gallons. You know? I keep wanting to tell people I want to set a couple of huge 10-gallon bottles in the lobby and say refills 2 cents. And people say, well, where can I do that? Well, go home to your tap. You can fill 2 10-gallon bottles for 2 cents.
Maybe we should do that.
And so it's cheap in a sense, but we like to use so much of it that we can, when we want to water our yards and fill our pools and wash our cars and all that we should be able to do that. But even though it's cheap per gallon, we use a tremendous number of gallons.